you reflect a lot of this in the House Call Vet Academy, is house call medicine and enjoying house call medicine is all about the people that you are surrounded by, the people that you work with. You're going into these really vulnerable situations where you're in somebody's home that's vulnerable for them.
Hi, guys, and welcome to the House Call Vet Cafe podcast. I'm Dr. Eve Harrison. I'm a full-time integrative concierge house call veterinarian in Los Angeles, and I help other vets to build their unique mobile practices on their terms. This podcast is for and by house call and mobile veterinarians, so it is meant to give our community a platform to connect, to share our stories, to lift each other up, and to support each other. Most of us work solo as lone wolves, right? So for me, it's been really powerful to be able to physically hear the voices of my colleagues from all over the world and to get a chance to feel that we truly are part of a community of very real other human beings who get it. While you may be alone in that little bubble of your own vehicle when you're on the road seeing patients, I welcome you to join our community by tuning into our own podcast when you're on your way to your next house call. Whether you're a super experienced house call vet with 30 years of experience, you're a brand new prospective house call vet just looking to get started, or you're house call curious, there will be something for you in this podcast. Each episode, you will hear interviews from other mobile veterinarians just like yourself who are doing unique and innovative things, vets who are sharing their stories, their struggles and challenges, and you can also look forward to hearing valuable information and perspectives from specialists and experts outside of our micro niche. And finally, if becoming a house call veterinarian is something that you've been thinking about exploring, or you're looking for some extra support getting your own mobile practice to feel more profitable and sustainable for you, check out the information in the show notes about my course and our above and beyond supportive private community for members only, plus our monthly group coaching sessions within the House Call Vet Academy. You can also check out my free public Facebook group, which is also called the House Call Vet Cafe, the same name as this podcast, and which is a warm and cozy community for mobile vets to support each other in professional and personal development, in creative entrepreneurship, and in friendship. So thank you guys for spending time with me today. Let's dive into the episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to have a very special guest on the show today. We have Dr. Cassi Fleming on the show today, and she is a triple Gator, earning her bachelor's and master's degrees in animal science, as well as her DVM degree from the University of Florida. Despite originally planning to enter dairy practice after vet school, Dr. Fleming unexpectedly found her calling in small animal general practice. While she still loves all things cows, she values greatly the close connection and relationships she has formed with her clients and their beloved pets. Dr. Fleming worked as an associate veterinarian for the first 6 years of her career before making the transition to business owner and taking on her role as Dr. Cassi, staff veterinarian at NAVC's VetFolio. When not participating in continuing education through VetFolio, Dr. Fleming is the owner of Springs Veterinary Services, a small mobile general practice, and a part-time associate at Newberry Animal Hospital in Newberry, Florida, where she focuses primarily on dentistry in addition to general practice. Aside from dentistry, Dr. Fleming is passionate about arthritis management and fostering and protecting the human-animal bond. So welcome, Dr. Fleming. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you. I have to say, I'm usually the one doing the interviewing. So that's the first time I have heard my bio read. And I was like, oh, this is a different experience.
It sure is. So for those of you guys who don't know, Dr. Cassi and I recorded a podcast on Dr. Cassi's podcast, VetFolio, and she was interviewing me. So now the tables are turned and we're reversing. We had so much to talk about. The episode was supposed to be 30 minutes, and we droned on. And I guess you guys edited it somewhat, but we went on and on and on. We were like, okay, we need to finish this conversation.
Yes. And actually, I normally don't go back through and listen to the podcasts after they're recorded. Just that's too much listening to my own voice. But with ours, I did go back and listen to it because it was such a fun conversation. I was like, I have to know how this whole conversation came together and how it sounds. And I loved it. We really did have a blast recording that episode.
We did. I'm very much the same. I can't listen back. I used to in the beginning and nitpick the shit out of every episode.
Yes.
And now I'm just off we go out into the ether.
Yes, so there's people that edit over at VetFolio, and I feel so bad for them sometimes because I used to especially if I was doing like a local recording, just doing like an intro to a podcast or something. If I would misspeak, I would like try to go edit it out myself because I was, I don't know, embarrassed to send it over. Now I'm like, oh, screwed that up. It's coming your way anyway.
Yep. Here for you to fix.
Yes, here you go. All the words are there. Good luck. And they're
Yes.
amazing. They do a wonderful job with it.
They sure do. They sure do. So, first of all, I wanted to start out the episode how I always start out and ask you, what is your favorite snack to eat in the car when you're on the way to your house calls?
So that's a good question. I feel like all the things I like to eat in the car are like probably things that aren't super safe to eat when you're driving in the car. Like my husband and I, we make a lot of salads for lunch. So like I'll make him a salad and I'll make me a salad, but trying to like eat a salad while you're driving down the road, it turns out it is possible, but it's maybe not the safest thing I do in my life. And I was like thinking about it too. I really like apples and peanut butter. Like if I'm not super hungry, I don't want a full lunch. Also not the safest thing to eat while you're driving down the road. So I do try to save it for red lights, and I drive on a lot of rural roads. So keep it between the lines.
That's hilarious. I mean, it definitely is possible. I've eaten salad in the car before. Like, I have like my one hand on the steering wheel and like a few fingers holding like the tray of
Yeah,
like prepackaged salad. And then, I'm steering with the left hand holding the salad. The right hand is eating lights
exactly.
at the red lights. So you're right. Like, not when I'm like in a busy intersection, I'm not eating my salad, but it's a thing. It's really a thing.
Absolutely. Sometimes you get the knee involved, like under the
Oh,
steering wheel.
so bad. I've
I
some
know.
like half an avocado that way. Like I'll have like a few
Oh,
fingers,
yeah.
like half the avocado and the right hand, like left hand steering while the right hand is like scooping out some avocado. Classic California.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, you know what? So I was actually out in California at the end of September, beginning of October. I loved it. Absolutely beautiful.
Hmm.
And one of the things we talked about, the group of us that went out there, is how phenomenal the food was. We were in Napa and Sonoma, and then we came back to San Francisco. And
Oh,
we kept ordering avocado toast because it would come with like a whole avocado on it. It was amazing.
yeah, those are like avocado castles. They're like they have like rhinestones on them and like fairy
Yeah,
dust and like God knows what else. But like the avocado toast in California is not just like avocado on toast. It's something else. Like, did you have any Mexican
it's
food?
so good. Not.
Maybe.
Shoot.
Yeah. It's good it's
Oh,
good.
no, I lied. We did. The first night we were there, we had, Mexican food at the hotel, and it was so good. All
Yeah.
the food there was amazing. We kept I mean, of course, the wine was amazing too, but the food was so good.
Yes, it sure is here in LA. And I mean all of California. I just really want to like import everyone here and feed them.
Yeah, so, well, I would be completely for that because, I mean, I love food of all kinds, but I'm kinda in the South, and so everything's kinda deep fried, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Like
butter
those like
and things involved.
yeah, I like those fried green tomatoes. Do you guys have those?
Yes, definitely. So good. I agree with you.
I know we could like also talk about food for a long time. I can tell I'm in the presence of foodie. I think
Oh, yes.
shifting gears, can you tell me a little bit about how you became a house call vet and what your journey was like?
Oh, man. So I've thought about this kind of explanation for a while, but I don't know how many times I've actually talked about it out loud, not just in my head. And I definitely don't think it's ever truly been recorded. So here we go. Try not to put my foot in my mouth. But COVID was like a major stimulus for becoming a house call vet. I was kind of like my bio said, I was an associate for 6 years. I had dropped down to part time before COVID because I had my second daughter and just I was working for VetFolio, kind of all of that came together at the same time. So I dropped down to a part time associate. And then COVID happened, and essentially, like my relationship with the clinic dissolved. There's a lot more detail to it than that, but it was their needs and my needs didn't really match up. And we worked for a little while to see if we could match things up, and it just ended up kind of dissolving. So thank goodness I was still at my job at Vetfolio and, had that. My husband was working harder than ever. He's in human resources at the vet school. So trying to keep the
Ooh.
vet school running. Yeah,
No.
so
Okay.
working with a big team of people trying to keep everything up and running and navigate this pandemic. So from there, I just like I didn't know what to do. I went to relief I found I was afraid there wasn't going to be any sort of relief opportunity because of COVID, but it turned out that wasn't the case. There was tons of relief opportunity.
Opposite, right?
So I started, yes. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I remember talking to one of my colleagues out here who he only does relief. And he was like, it's over. Like, there's not going to be a market for us anymore. We're out. And yeah, that didn't happen.
That's true what I thought about, like, my own house call practice for, like, a month. Things went dead, and I was like, "Done, done, it's over."
Oh,
Everything's
no.
over. Then the flood came, and it was the reverse, and it was just, like, chaos and madness for all vets. So I know what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, and especially for house call, because people who didn't want to let their pets go inside without them were really leaning on the house call world. So yeah, it ended up actually working out well for house call pets.
Yep, yep, it sure did.
But so I'm doing these relief jobs, but I've lived in this area of Florida almost 20 years. And so I had a lot of like friends and family who had been coming to see me at my clinic where I was an associate. And a lot of them were like, we still want you to be our vet. And so I said, okay, well, I'm doing relief. But then it became just really hectic trying to say, like, okay, I'm at this clinic. Now I'm at this clinic. Drive over here. We have to transfer your records again and do all this. And I was like, this isn't fair. And I
Right.
talked about doing this house call thing, and it was really my husband. Like, he's incredibly supportive and just will get me out of a rut. And he was like, just do it. Just do it. Like, you can do it. You'll be fine. Get some Google Docs and syringes and needles. I don't know what you need, but get some stuff and you can do this. So it was a little more complicated than that.
Of course.
But yeah, that started my foray into house call medicine, was really with some gentle nudging from him going, I think this is going to work out and I think you're going to be good at it. So, just go for it. Stop second guessing yourself. And I was able to start really slow, which was nice. And now it's a really small practice, mostly just friends and family. But yeah, it's been quite the learning experience. And I had the experience that many people probably have doing this. Well, obviously, many people have, because that's why there's a market for the House Call Vet Academy.
Yes.
And so I had a lot of the stuff up and running, but I was so happy to have found that as things started to pick up and be able to get my ducks in a row a little bit more. Emphasis on a little bit.
Yeah. No, you're doing amazing. I mean, it's just so interesting. You had almost like a direct pipeline from relief work into your house call practice. And that's kind of a unique path that like you had some followers, and then that I experienced that just a little bit. I had some people follow me from relief job to relief job, and I remember that being really awkward too. But it's really cool that that's kind of what developed into the house call practice for you, and that you just jumped and you did it. I love that your husband he's like kind of in the industry. I mean, he fully is. So it's amazing that he's supportive and that he helped you get over the insecurity that we all have before.
Self-doubt.
There's so much self-doubt and like imposter syndrome. Who am I to be doing this? And sometimes we just need support. We just need support from the people that love us and care about us. So I'm just so happy that you had that support. And I don't think I even knew that you were a mom. Did I know that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Yes, I have two beautiful daughters. They're 3 and 5. They're about to be 4 and 6, which I can't wrap my head around. But yeah, and they've played a huge role in where I am now in my career, because it's a huge priority for me to really be present for them. And I've described it before as trying to walk this line between being very present to them and making sure that they can go and do and live their life to the fullest, but also setting the example of somebody who does work hard and who goes after my goals and is ambitious and these kind of things. And it's not always an easy line to walk, but they really keep me, they're kind of my inspiration for so many decisions that I make and things that I do.
That's beautiful to have your kids almost as a muse to make you be the best version of yourself. That you're balancing that balance of being present and living your best life, so that, I mean, being a mom of girls, especially, that's a big job to show them that they can go out there and get it and do what they want to do. So that's very powerful. And I can see how that would drive you to be the best that you can be and live a fulfilled and self-actualized life, just because you have these two little witnesses.
Yes, exactly. And they watch everything that you do. And as parents, we're such huge influences on everything that they see. So all the words you said, to really live life to the fullest and set this good example. And I fail a lot.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, we
far
all.
from, yeah. Like, don't take this as like, oh my gosh, Cassie's got her stuff together. Like, no, I don't. Can I cuss? Like, I don't have
Oh
my
yeah,
shit together
cuss your
here.
heart's content.
Yes, no, it's nothing like that at all. But they do, when I do hit those crossroads and I do get into those difficult moments, or I make a decision that maybe wasn't the best decision or something like that, having them there to really reflect back on and say, what kind of example do I want to set for them? What kind of presence do I want to be in their life? Just kind of helps reset that course.
Totally. That and it's such a beautiful dichotomy that you have trying to find that balance between those things and almost like I hear it as like almost like guardrails. Like you get a little too far off, you're like, what do I want my
Yeah.
daughters to see? Not that. Okay, back to center. I don't know. I'm just like envisioning like a bowling alley for some reason.
No, I think that's
Like
a
the
really good analogy. That's kind of what it's like.
and I'm not a mom, but I think just hearing you say that, it's just so powerful. And just like the influence that you have from these little mirrors and,
Yes.
just like seeing your actions and words reflected back at you. I don't know, it's really touching to me. I really like that.
Oh,
I really like hearing people's stories about motherhood and balancing their life as an entrepreneur or as a professional, like a highly trained professional and needing to balance that with caring for and raising their young, you know?
yeah,
Watching a
absolutely. Well,
lot
I
of
mean,
like
an
nature
enter
documentaries.
well, and an enter house call life,
That's
right?
it.
Because it
That's it.
gives me one, like being a practice owner, but not having those same obligations of a brick and mortar clinic. Like all of you out there who own brick and mortar clinics, I have so much respect because it seems like a whole different animal. But being a house call vet and really being in control of my appointment schedule, either I feel like it's a lot about the people that you work with. And so either if I have to cancel something because one of my daughters is sick, people tend to be pretty understanding. Or if it's like, no, I have to go and see this appointment and you are going to sit in your seat and watch cartoons and drink juice in the back of the car while I go take care of this dog, then we do that. And
It's like
it gives you that like amazing flexibility.
it's incredible flexibility. I mean, there's so many people who go into house call practice specifically so that they can be there for their kids and so that they can be the mom part of their or the parenting part of their identity can breathe and do what, is calling to them. It's just so common and such an interesting pairing. I'm just so interested in that connection between and it's usually motherhood, let's be honest, it's mostly us women.
Especially in veterinary medicine.
Especially yeah, it's mostly women in veterinary medicine, and it's mostly folks that I deal with in the house called Vet Academy. I have maybe one guy, one man.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
I
it's
think I was watching a video. It was like a recorded call, and then
yeah,
it was a guy who joined, and I was like, "Oh, hey, buddy, like,
it's like, "Hey,
you're
dude,
here."
you're an
Yeah,
oddball in this space, but welcome."
exactly. We're happy to have you. Just, it is this field there's so many women in the field, and it's an amazing field. But yeah, like you said, let's be honest, there is a role with motherhood, not to take anything away because there are very, present and active dads. My husband is one of them. But yeah, I will say the house call life has delivered for me in spades as far as the flexibility that I need and being able to be there for my kids.
That's incredible. I love hearing about that. So thank you for sharing about that. I know we went a tiny bit off script in that direction, but when I was like, "You're a mom? Wait a minute." I
Wait a second.
wait a second. I just love hearing these stories and it's just like people get really personal and really almost vulnerable a little bit when they talk about their parenthood, balancing parenthood, entrepreneurship, and veterinary medicine. And I think that's what people need so much more of. People need to hear these stories because everyone feels they're alone and they're not. So it's like we gotta turn that rock over and hear more about that.
I'm so glad that we did. I mean, I love talking about my kids. They are just the light of my life and they drive me crazy, but I love them so much.
Amazing. So I am really proud of you and I'm excited for you. And just I've been observing the progress in your practice and seeing you thrive. And kind of getting in your ducks in a row, as you said. Can you share, just having you in the House Call Vet Academy community, it's been awesome. And I'm wondering if you might share from your experience, if you have maybe 3 top tips for either new or existing house call vets that you'd like to share from your journey.
I mean, the number one has got to be you can do it. Like,
Yeah.
stop with the self doubt and the imposter syndrome. You'll never stop with the self doubt and the imposter syndrome. I don't think that ever goes away, but
That's it.
yeah, but you can do it. Like in the words of my husband, like, you can do it. Just, I guess maybe Nike plays a role there, but. But yeah, so that would be the first thing I would say is just get out there and do it. I think another really important thing that I've found in my practice, and you reflect a lot of this in the House Call Vet Academy, is house call medicine and enjoying house call medicine is all about the people that you are surrounded by, the people that you work with. You're going into these really vulnerable situations where you're in somebody's home that's vulnerable for them. And then, of course, whether you work with a tech or not, you're kind of there without a safety net. You don't have a hospital and you can't run away to the treatment area and be like, let me go hide from this person. You're in it. So, really being, and Eve, you say this all the time and keep preaching it because it's so true. Like, be choosy, be selective of the people that you choose to work with because that's going to have the biggest impact on your enjoyment of the medicine. When you have people who welcome you into their home, who trust you, who are comfortable consulting with you, and who you can call when your kid is sick and say, I can't make it, I'm so sorry, and who will be understanding and not hold that against you, then that's just really what's going to make or break the experience.
Yeah, that's gold. That's excellent advice. And I couldn't agree more because I mean, that sense of goodwill that you've built up with your clients while you're in their home is not just a transactional thing. Like, I don't have clients that are just transactional with me, and I'm not just transactional with them. Not a transactional person. I don't just
Hmm.
trade my shit for your shit. It's like, if we're working together, we're working together. I'm giving my all. You're getting a piece of my soul, Not to
Yeah,
be
it's true.
overly
I care
dramatic.
about your animal. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to answer the phone when you call within reason, of course,
Right.
have healthy boundaries here.
Of
But
course.
but yeah, like I care. I'm invested. And so we need to be invested in this together. We need to be invested in each other.
That's exactly right. And, to have grace with each other. I'm not perfect. They're not perfect. Just to know that's exactly right, to be invested in each other. And I think choosing people who will allow those kinds of rapport or who are prone towards that rapport without having to like fix or teach them. Sometimes you can teach a client how to behave in your practice, but more often than not, I mean, if they require more than like a little like these are my boundaries. These are my policies. If we could stick with this next time, if it's any more than that, it's usually not a good fit in my book.
Hmm.
And I agree so, so much that makes or breaks the experience, who you allow into your practice. So thank you for sharing that. That was like good, good, good advice. Yeah,
Good. I think that was only 2 tips. I don't know what my third tip would be. Be careful eating salad driving down the road.
that's great advice. That's great. Just drive carefully.
Yes.
Coming from us too, who should not be talking.
Right. Like, hopefully, none of you are cops out there listening. They're like, I'm going to be on the lookout for you too.
Yeah, like, what's your license plate number again?
Right.
House call vets behaving badly. That should be our joint podcast that we put out together, right?
Yes, I think people would think that's something very different from what it
Oh
is when
God.
they tuned in and they found out that we were like eating salad and avocados driving down the road. We would have a very like angry audience.
Oh my God. That is absolutely hilarious. That's an excellent point. We should probably name it something different, huh?
Yeah, we'll have to brainstorm a little bit. I don't know. It could be fun. Like, I would be really interested to see the comments of like the people who logged in and then heard about our salad adventures. And like, I would read those comments. Those would be interesting.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So I have to close up this episode right now, but I can't wait for our part 2 to come out where we
Yay.
are about to talk about the human animal bond. We're going to talk about arthritis. We're going to talk about what it's like to be a podcast host on, VetFolio for NAVC. We have so much more to talk about. And I can't wait for all of you guys to join us in part 2 of my interview with Dr. Cassi Fleming. But first, I'm going to close up shop by asking you, what's your favorite beverage to drink since we're in the House Call Vet Cafe?
Oh, okay. Since we're in the House Call Vet Cafe.
Yeah,
Um,
or wine bar.
okay. I mean, definitely wine. You heard about my adventures in Napa and Sonoma. I love wine. I love a good beer too. But I will say lately, my doctor told me I have to drink less coffee. And
As I
I
take
thought I
a
was
gulp
doing,
of
I don't know.
coffee right now.
It's going terribly, let me tell you that. But I thought I was doing she's like I was like, "I drink 2 cups of coffee a day." She's like cups?" Or I was like, "No, no, no, like mugs." And so she was like, "I really want you to drink less than that because of some family history risks and stuff." So I've been trying to cut back my coffee. It's going terribly, but I'm working on it. It's very much a work in progress. But that has made coffee like my number one desired beverage right now. I'm like, all I
Oh,
want to do is just drink coffee all day.
oh, it's the forbidden fruit. Oh man, I hear you.
Yes. I know. And people are like, why don't you drink decaf? I'm like, no, I don't want decaf.
What's the
I
point of
want the
that?
good stuff. Yeah. So yeah,
Awesome.
probably coffee, but I do love like a good wine or good beer or something like that too.
Good solid beverage answers there. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Dr. Cassi. I can't wait for a part 2. This has been a riveting conversation so far, and we're going to get into it even more next episode.
Yes, I can't wait. Well, Eve, thank you so much for having me on. This has been a ton of fun. It's really an interesting experience to have the microphone flipped on me. So hopefully I'm delivering here, but I'm having a blast. I can't wait for the next episode.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the House Call Vet Cafe. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never have to miss an episode. This podcast is made specifically for you, so don't be shy if you'd like to reach out and let me know your thoughts on this episode. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as the House Call Vet Academy, where I also share more valuable content. If you're interested in learning more about consulting for House Call Vets or the House Call Vet Academy online course and community, please click on the link in the show notes. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I can't wait for you to join us for our next episode of the House Call Vet Cafe.
If you're looking for help with ultrasound scanning, check out First Opinion Veterinary Ultrasound for independent machine reviews and online and in-person teaching options. FOVU, simplifying ultrasound.